Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor, and I am one of the founders of Eithera brand, and we are so excited to introduce Dev Avtar. She is the founder of Shanti Naam Yoga, as well as a beautiful Kundalini instructor. I met her through her organization back in January, and she has such beautiful programs around root healing that I really wanted to make sure to bring her in and speak to it today. So I'm so excited to bring her on. And so, Dev, I'll let you kind of come on and let us know a little bit about yourself.
So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here, Taylor. I love what you're doing with Eithera, and I love the chakras, and they are such a big part of healing and spiritual awakening, or getting to know oneself in a more deep and intimate way and feeling more comfortable and at ease. So I really love your mission, and I'm happy to be here and share. My work is really taking shape right now. The very specific of it is that the the healing happens at a root level, and the importance of this and what it is that when we are experiencing anxiety or depression or some sort of chronic pain in our body, or an illness or relationship difficulty, that there's something there that is at the root. There's a root cause of why it's showing up. Maybe there's addiction, or there can be overthinking or overanalyzing, over-strategizing. There can also be, the opposite, which is, a lot of depression and lethargy and not enough energy to actually, live the life that you might want to live. And when this happens, which happened to me many times over and over, which is how I found this path, I really wanted to get to the root cause of why there were these blockages that kept appearing repeatedly in my life, in relationships, and in my body. And so little by little, I taught myself how to heal myself. And now it is, after 10 years, it has formulated into a beautiful program which can help people go from the anxiety, the depression, or the chronic pains, the addictions, taking them fully through the process of healing at the root level and bringing them to the other side to actually live a life that is free from drama, free from illness, free from mental confusion, mental fogginess, releasing the trauma out of the body, and also training the mind. So it's both a body and a mind practice and healing. And then from there, the soul, or the true essence, can begin to actually shine through, and there's less decisions to be made, because the actual instinctual, intuition-based guidance that comes from within is now steering the life, and it can be a really beautiful ride once you live from the soul. So it's root healing for sacred rebirthing, so we can live actually more from our soul.
That's beautiful. And I love how you kind of, talked a little bit about how you kept this path kind of started out because you kept kind of going down the same path. Same, I'm not going to call them mistakes, but same, journey that kept presenting itself. Can you tell us a little bit more about like that background, how you ended up within this modality, and, how it brought you here?
Yeah. So I would say that it showed up for me, the manifestation of like the dis-ease in my life, the disconnect in my life, first appeared as a lot of debilitating anxiety to the point where it was hard. I had a lot of insomnia. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I had a lot of suicidal thinking. I just wanted to escape the pain. And so for many years, even as a teenager, I was on antidepressants, and something in me just knew that it wasn't the right way to go, but I didn't know what else to do. And so I lived in a family that was heavily medicated. And so when there were problems with any of us in the home, it was always medicated, whether it be a headache or anxiety or depression. those emotions were never actually talked about. And so I was led to believe that there was actually truly something wrong with me. And at a very young age, I remember thinking there's something really, really wrong with me. And also spirituality or religion was very much off the table in my house. So there was a lot of actual shame around that when I would, ask my mother about, what is God and what is spirituality and what is this thing that my other friends, seem to practice and believe in. And there was a lot of shutdown there and fear, just fear of spirit. So I knew at an early age that wasn't something that I could actually pursue. So I just, followed what I needed to do, what my parents told me to do, which was to take medicine when pain would come. And at a certain point, I realized I'm anxious, but I'm also really numbed out. I don't feel anything, and that didn't feel right. And then I got pregnant. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go off of this medicine and, these medications, and I'm just going to see what happens. And little by little, more emotions actually started to emerge, because once I didn't have the anxiety pills, which I was on for about 12 years, there was definitely a transition of what I would call emotional awakening, where many emotions surface that I didn't have access to before. And also I didn't have the skills to hold myself. And I also didn't know how to choose the right people, the healthy relating people that could relate in a healthy way. And so that began the journey, what I would call my spiritual awakening, to actually learn how to trust myself, and overcome even the skepticism and the fear of what we might call spirituality or God. And I was led down a beautiful journey that actually took me straight to what I do call God now. And it's not connected to any religion. It's more about, it's an experience. It's not something I think about. It's through the ways I work. I teach people, and I also experience now a direct relationship with my soul. I'm acting from my soul, or choosing from my soul, or if I'm choosing from my personality or my ego. And once a human can connect with the soul, then there is this firsthand experience of spirit, which you can't really put into words, other than it's just an experience that one has. But it takes time to build that. And so that was my journey. Once I allowed the anxiety to speak to me and tell me what it needed, that was when I was able to begin to take the necessary steps forward, and also leaps of faith, which I never even knew I had faith, but it was like faith was appearing right before me as I was stepping forward on my own healing path. So
as you kind of started it, it sounds like, you had an immediate disconnection from root source, root love, root energy, from safety, from feeling like embodied, right? Because the way I understand the root energy is, it really is about you being on this physical place, in this physical body, at this time, as whatever time means in this dimension. But it's really about your connection to the here and now. And so it sounds like your here and now was just kind of all chaotic. So was there a singular moment where you decided to go on a spiritual path, or was it just kind of the amalgamation of all of them?
I don't think I was cognitively saying I'm going to go on a spiritual path, but I do remember the first time I picked up a book about it. And it was because not only it wasn't manifesting just in anxiety, but the other way was it was manifesting in really unhealthy relating with partners. So I was very much involved with someone, and he was coming also from a family that was actually very religious. My family was not religious, not spiritual, a lot of shame around that. And then I ended up dating somebody that did come from a very religious background. And what happened was, it was so unhealthy. And also the relationship that I had with his mother was also unhealthy. It was just, there was a lot of codependency and narcissistic tendencies going on there, and in even a bit of psychosis, going on. It was very confusing. But the one thing this mother of my boyfriend at the time said to me was, she's just not that spiritual. She said a lot of other things, but she said she's just not that spiritual. And I just remember it hurt my heart. Like, I was like, something about that was she could say all those other things, but like, I wanted to be a spiritual person. I wanted to feel, what is that? But I had no clue what spirituality was back then. So I found myself at the Barnes and Noble, like, crying, trying to figure out, like, what does she mean about me not being spiritual? I don't even know what spiritual is. And I looked in all these books for religion, because back then, like, this was more than 10 years ago, but it wasn't so much spirituality. It was literally like there were books on religion, but not so much spirituality, and not at least in the bookstore that I was in. And so I picked up books about contemplative thought, contemplative religion, and like how to look at different religions and glean the overall arching,
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
from all of them. And that was my in. And yeah,
That's
it just,
amazing. So
I know.
it eventually led you to Kundalini Yoga. So, can you tell us a little bit about like Kundalini and like what new people should know, and like when you were a new person, like what drew you to it?
Yeah. So when I first started to practice yoga in a more conscious way, not to escape my pain, because I was practicing a lot of yoga I was practicing Bikram yoga for many years before I really awoken to my true self and my soul. But I was really just trying to get rid of the anxiety. I wanted to just get rid of this anxiety. I'm so done with it. But when I started to study a little bit more about religion and some of the texts about that, I started to practice vinyasa yoga. Then I practiced yin yoga. Then I practiced yoga nidra. And yoga nidra is actually where you go into a deep theta relaxing state. And there are actual texts of knowledge, of yogic knowledge, that has been somehow recorded over many years from many different meditators. And so it's basically helping the body to come to a very relaxed state, and then to rewire the brain in order to allow all emotion to be just as it is, and teaches you it was teaching me how to allow all of my experiences to be just as they are. And it trained my mind to become the witness and the observer, which they call the zoomed out perspective. And then it also teaches you, this is all while you're completely relaxed in a theta state, makes it really easy to heal. And to also rewire the brain. Then it drops you down into a zoomed in version of the human experience. And it actually takes you into chaos, drama, triggers, the trauma in the body. And it builds a resilience or a tolerance to be with all of the sensations as pure energy, without freaking out, numbing out, running away, making stories, going into the head. Which is where a lot of the mental illness happens, is because there's trauma and we're not in our body. And then the mind tries to figure out also that we just basically live in our mind. Mm-hmm. And this is the mind is going. So yoga nidra was primary. I needed to first drop into my body before I did the Kundalini. And so when I take people on journeys now for long healing periods to really reintegrate, it first really starts with the parasympathetic nervous system with yoga nidra. Then little by little, once I can support them, like I had to support myself, teaching myself that it was safe to be in my body and safe to feel all my emotions, and that there was nothing wrong with me because I was feeling any of those emotions. I just had trauma in my body. And once I started to feel more comfortable in my body, then I needed to actually learn how to manage my energy, to ignite my life force and really bring my creative spark back into play, because it was kind of there when I was younger. But then, once the depression and anxiety, like once that
Keeps
starts to
it down,
pile,
right? Like it really just like puts a
first, the first thing is
pressure.
root healing to
Yeah.
get safe. Then the Kundalini Yoga. And Kundalini Yoga came to me about 6 years ago, after 4 or 5 years of first just working softly and more gently. Then the Kundalini Yoga came to my life. And that's when I really started to learn how to manifest and create in an intentional way.
I love that. And so in terms of like how, from the Nidra to the Kundalini Yoga, can you speak about what's a little bit different about Kundalini from Nidra, and, kind of like the modality, the, steps or process or how you interact with it, kind of around that?
Yeah. Well, what's special about Kundalini Yoga, I mean, all the yogas are so special, but what makes Kundalini unique in its own way is that it's a rhythmic asana. So you're moving the body in a rhythm. And the reason why we do that, so you're breathing in a rhythm and moving in a rhythm. And what this does is it helps to massage the organs, and it helps to bring more blood-rich oxygen through the body. So the circulation starts to improve. And the organs will literally, you'll feel it in one class. In one class, you'll feel results instantly. It's really profound. And not only that, but the breath is so specific. There are different ways that we can actually breathe and activate what we call the pranic body, that can either calm the body, ignite the energy in the body, stimulate digestion in the body, help to detox the body. Other breaths that help to actually awaken your intuition. So what I like about Kundalini is that there's very specific, almost like healing prescriptions based on what a client might come to me for. They may say, wow, I'm really experiencing a lot of depression, mostly depression. Well, that person needs a specific type of yoga. It's a different yoga than what someone with anxiety would need. And someone that is mostly in their mind needs something very specific. And someone who's maybe more they have more access to their mind, like a clear mental thinking, but maybe they are not feeling like they're in touch with their creativity. So then we would want to ignite the spaces that would bring more flow and more emotion, more emotional well-being. So what I like about Kundalini Yoga is that it's very clear, it's very precise, and the results are quick.
Yeah, and I think that was definitely one of my experiences with Kundalini Yoga. To be fair, I felt absolutely silly starting for the first time. I think like a lot of the movements are not like, I don't want to say they're not normal, but it's not something you do every day. It's not like a movement where you're like, oh, okay. So you really have to be okay with letting yourself experiment with your body, I think. And I think that was one of the interesting things of starting. But once I got into the class, I really felt, connected immediately. And I felt really, really good. And so I definitely connected with that kind of experience of Kundalini Yoga. So like as new seekers, I think one of the things that I'm hearing you say is that, it's when you're on a spiritual path, it's very much about, your particular needs. And especially when you're looking at the root chakra, it's all about like looking at yourself holistically and really finding someone who can look at you with your specific needs in order to kind of plan out how to move forward with your spiritual journey. Is that kind of what you're getting at here?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, that's what I do. I mean, we can also go ahead.
oh no, please.
I was just going to say that we can experience any yoga in a group session. We can experience the yoga at home on our own, and both have their benefits. Whatever yoga or spiritual practice we might be doing, maybe it's a sound bath, or even Reiki, can be done, just one-on-one, or you can do Reiki shares in a group. And I think that, once someone is, open and willing to look at their health and well-being, as some of your viewers might be. There might be, curious, and you all might be wondering, how do I start this journey? I don't really know what it's about. And, you can, you'll know if working one-on-one or if working in a group is right for you. I mean, right now we're in the middle of COVID, so we have to do a lot on the Zoom and whatnot, but, working one-on-one and also in group sessions, both are really beneficial, and for different reasons. The community aspect of Kundalini Yoga is very special. It's very unique as well. I didn't find such a tightly knit community, and also kind of principles for living like I found in Kundalini Yoga. So what I like about Kundalini is that it's very community oriented, and the way that I teach it and offer it is always within some sort of community, because the reason why, the benefit, is that once we start to awaken who we truly are, and we're not living from fear or shame anymore, this life is so filled with so much possibility. And if there isn't reinforcement or someone to really embrace and celebrate and be with you, and to really lock in this new frequency, because it really is just a frequency. It's a level, it's a frequency that's much lighter than what living in fear and shame, which is a very dense energy. So once we start to actually live from this higher frequency, it can be easy to be sucked out of it. Once you step out of your practice and then come into, community again, you can easily go back into the old programming or the old wounds. Because most of society is actually living in that. So it's really important to have a supportive community that you really vibe with. Like, it could be any, community, but you do want to feel really safe. I believe all beings need a safe community to truly heal and awaken in.
And that's really important with the root energy, right? Because it is the place where you feel your safety.
Yeah.
And so, like, at least for our new seekers, what are they going to feel when they connect to healing the root chakra a little bit further? You said higher vibes, in terms of like less dense energy. But can you speak a little bit more to like what they could get out of specifically the root chakra if they are addressing it through, working with you and your programs, or yoga in general?
Yeah. So when we are healing and fortifying the root chakra, the benefits and what we can feel is it takes a little bit of time, and some people that doesn't take much time at all. But once it's starting to activate, you will feel very present. You'll be in the present moment. You won't be in the past. You won't be in the future. You're just present in your body. You feel safe.
And like feeling good about that, right? Like not just like feeling present, but like being okay and feeling safe to feel that presence.
Yes, you can be present with yourself. You can be present with your pain. You can be present with pleasure. You can be present with hardship, with illness. You can be, it's like you can be present because you're not out of your body and like, just like, in la la land or freaking out. Like you can be so disembodied that you like everything irritates you, or you can be so disembodied and nothing irritates you. And some people will respond in different ways to their disembodiment. Like disembodiment can really take place or take shape in different ways. But once you're in your body and you're in it and you're in the present moment, like, okay, like things can happen, but you're not gonna go down the rabbit hole, get sucked in, and you're also not gonna just, not be able to connect. Like you can connect to people, and you also can stay present with people. Now, there still needs to like, also I find that root healing, once we're in our body, which most people are not actually in their body, like everybody needs root healing. Everybody needs root healing. It's the foundation.
Yeah.
It's like once you're in your body, what I find is that it's super important then to learn, conscious communication skills, because once you're in your body, you can start to feel the energies of when someone might not be in their body and they're behaving in a way that's not embodied, or from fear and shame. And then, you can't escape it. You can't go and live on some planet where or some island where there's
Yeah.
only embodied awakened people. So it's really,
And is that kind of like the connection? Like once you kind of hit the root, it's that connection to like that sacral energy, which is like relating to someone else, right?
yes, to relating to other people. And that's why it's such a journey. Because like once, especially when you work with the chakras, like you're going to go from that root healing. And a lot of people will heal the upper chakras before they even touch the lower chakras. And that's what I did for years. But it's one, I feel that some of the hardest work, because it's such a dense energy in the first, second, and third, it's like very physical energy. It's hard to work in those
Yeah.
areas because it's so physical, and it's very painful. It can be very painful,
Yeah.
but
It's hard to connect and understand that pain is, there to bring you back to you, on
yeah,
a certain level. It's that boundary point between, what you can handle and what you can't. And when you can't handle it, it's about getting back to what you can. So in order for, our audience to kind of do that, how can they connect with you further? What, we were talking a little bit before, and you have some incredible programs coming up, and I'm so excited to hear about them. So you have your root healing for sacred rebirth program that's coming up. Can you speak to that for like, a few minutes, and,
yeah.
the other programs you have?
Yeah. So root healing, sacred rebirthing is a it can be done in a couple of different ways at this point. Right now, I'm in the process of building a 7 to 9 month program. Actually, it will be a group program. It's going to be totally amazing with modules and just the most supportive, skilled community that you could ever walk through the
That's
journey with.
amazing. So
But
if people
until
want to learn more about that, I'll go ahead and put your email and information, linked to this so that they can find you. Can you speak a
yeah,
little bit about your online community where they can connect with you immediately as you're building out your sacred healing?
Yeah. So I have also an online group. It's called Embody Your True Nature. It is daily yoga, meditation, communication classes, and community support. It's a private Facebook group, and anybody can join. And that's can then work into private sessions. So I work privately with people for 1 month to 4 months. And then also I am in the process right now of launching a new 1-day women's online retreat. It's called Sacred Soul Work, and it's primarily for people that are healing trauma, whether they know it or not. But it's for women who experience anxiety, depression, and some sort of physical disconnect from their body, or maybe a lot of different ailments in their physical body. And the goal is to help women to welcome pain, feel safe with the pain, how to decode the pain, get the messages from the pain, and to feel more into their true self, their true purpose through the pain. So the idea is that pain is the portal,
Yeah,
and to get really comfortable with
that
it
is
and have skills.
so important, especially where we are right now, in
Yeah,
living in kind of a chaotic and painful world. Like I think there, and not even think, I know that there are people who are experiencing a lot of pain. And so I think that this is very welcome. So I cannot wait for people to connect with
yeah.
you, Dev Avtar. Thank you again so much for being here and sharing your experience with the root energy and how you're going about exploring it, and really connecting to it in order to help heal and help others heal. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for the work you're doing right now.
Absolutely. All right. I'm really excited to connect further with you about those programs. And for anyone else, I will put all of the links in attached to this video. So I'm really excited. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.